The first thing you got to do whenever you're making a movie is you got to figure out what the movie is that you're going to make. And everybody's faced with that same problem. And it all really starts with a writer coming up with an idea for a movie. On certain occasions, the studio will have an idea that they will hire writers to and develop a project that way. But mostly scripts are written by a writer who is looking to write a feature script or whatever the script is. He has some story he wants to tell. Some are politically motivated. Some are just action movies made to make a lot of money and sell a lot of popcorn. But the idea is the same in that you start on a blank page, which can sometimes be a daunting task to start with a blank page and just start creating a screenplay. So the idea is to try and take a screenplay and break it apart into smaller portions that you can actually eat. The first objective is always to, what is your storyline? What is the basic story that you want to tell? Is it a man against nature? Is it a man against himself, or man against man? I mean, what is the story that you're trying to tell?
In developing the storyline, we went from a concept of a friend of mine's that was just a general concept of a movie. And we kind of took that concept and really kind of fleshed it out and said, okay, well, how do we tell that story in a matter of 10 to 12 minutes? So we took this overall kind of broad concept of a feature movie and tried to shrink it down into something that was manageable.
Writing short films is very different than writing a feature film. It's more like writing a commercial almost, just a slightly longer commercial. And Chet actually had a partner who, back in the DreamWorks days, who had this idea for a feature film.
We started out with this general concept with Big Game of this character that was going to go out and photograph bin Laden. But we wanted everybody to think that he was, she actually had shot bin Laden. We started out with that concept and then really started to flesh it out. How are we going to accomplish it in a matter of 5 days?
And it was very complex, and it was very long and drawn out and very difficult to turn into a short film. And he pitched it to me one day, and I remember sitting on the phone and saying, there's no way that can be done. That can't be done on a short film timetable. There's just no way. Now the feature version went all into this big, long, drawn-out drama where after he was done taking the photograph, the CIA rehired him to go out and actually kill him, and we just couldn't do all that. So I brought it way back down and contained most of it into an interrogation chamber. And once we were in the interrogation chamber, you could tell all sorts of story and backstory without having to shoot at 50 different locations and out in the desert. And so that's kind of where it started. And as I started to write it, I realized we were sort of straying from that. And pretty soon there was a lot of stuff that we were having to shoot that wasn't in the interrogation room.
One of the challenges was the budget and the time frame that we had, and how are we going to tell this story. So we took that challenge and really trying to figure out, we can't go to a bunch of locations because we won't have time, we won't have the money. And so that's where the concept came in of Fletch writing the screenplay from the perspective of the interrogation, which allowed everything to be contained and allowed us to go out for moments, but always come back to the interrogation, which was really the nervous system and the thread for how we were going to tell the story.
As you start to develop a storyline, you'll come up with a couple of different things that will really help you lay out your blueprint for how your film will be written, how the story will unfold. Some of those things are terms that might be familiar to you, they may not. Things like plot point 1, plot point 2, rising conflict, climax, resolution. These are all points that you need to know before writing a screenplay. And in our curriculum, we sort of lay out those things as you go along. And once you have all of those, all your ducks in a row, per se, it basically lays out your entire blueprint for your film. And then all you have to do is go back through and start writing those scenes that you've laid out. It's a way of outlining and structuring your screenplay that, in the end, will make writing a lot more easy.